All right, everybody. We are going to get started with Claude Code for absolute beginners. I'm psyched to see you. My name is Dan Shipper. Um, yeah, this group is amazing. It blew us away, the response to this course, and we're just excited to have a great day together. So I'm going to jump in to an intro. We'll take some time to get to know each other and figure out what we're all here for today and who we all are, and then we're going to dive right in and start building. I'm first going to share my screen, so you'll have to let me know if you can see it when I do. Um, okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we
Awesome.
can.
All right, let's get started. So I think that now is the best time to build things in history. And I think that's true because these new AI tools that we have give us these creative superpowers. They give us the power to code, to write, to make movies, to draw images, to do basically anything that you might have wanted to do creatively, much faster, with far less like underlying knowledge of how things are working under the hood. Um, yeah, you can basically like build whatever you want with very little money and very little time. And I think that that's really, really amazing. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about today. And because of this, like we're in this new era where you can use AI to build things. I think learning to use agents is the core skill. And an agent is a bit different from something that you might be familiar with, like ChatGPT or just regular Claude. Um, an agent really is, instead of just being a chat where you're going back and forth, an agent really is able to work autonomously for long periods of time, and accomplish work without a ton of oversight. And I think that Claude Code is important for people who have used it, or for people who have heard of it, or just getting started. I think Claude Code is really important because it's the first real AI agent that you can use for day-to-day work. When we first ran into it at Every, this is probably like maybe like 6 months ago, um, it just totally changed how we operate the company and what we are able to accomplish together, because it took us out of handwriting code and moved us into this world where we were just basically delegating a lot of programming tasks to Claude Code, and we started to be able to um, like move much faster and accomplish more with the same number of people. So at Every we have about 15 people, and we run six businesses with 15 people. Four of them are software products, and each software product more or less has one GM that runs the whole thing from front to back, and that would have been previously impossible a few years ago. Maybe even a year ago it would have been impossible, but definitely 3 or 4 years ago it would have been totally impossible. And I think one thing that I really want to underscore here at the start is, maybe you already know that this increases, like Claude Code in particular, increases developer productivity, but I think that Claude Code is the most slept on superpower for non-technical people. There's a lot that you can do with it to make your day-to-day work easier, faster, more productive, higher quality, and lots of stuff in your life. And we'll talk about what some of those use cases are. And the reason that most people don't use it who are non-technical is it's kind of intimidating. Like the terminal is kind of intimidating. And so what I want this to be is an opportunity for all of us here to have like a little playground together where you have the support from us and you have the time blocked off to like get over that initial hump of like, oh, there's this intimidating thing with the terminal, and kind of unlock this superpower for yourself. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. Before we get into that, I do want to know, like, if you're here, I think you've probably, like, maybe you've tried Claude Code before, maybe you haven't, but you've been thinking about it. If you're here, you probably haven't gone as far as you really want to. And so I'd be curious for anyone to raise their hand and jump in and tell me, like, what's blocking you. You can either raise your hand and we can chat about it live, or you can just throw it in the chat, whichever one you want.
Hi Jen, how are you? Thanks for today. Personally for me it was time. I thought this would be a forced, focused session that will force me to do this. So thanks.
That makes total sense. Thank you for joining, and thank you for saying that. I do think that that's like the biggest thing that we can give you today is blocking off this time to experiment and to play and to do it in a safe way where we're here in case you need us. And so I hope you're able to do that. John,
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like I have played around, but I don't know that I'm using and maximizing it to its fullest potential. And so I feel like there's a lot of corners that I can't see around, and I just want to make sure that I'm optimizing.
that makes total sense. And I'm also seeing a lot of people say, maybe I played around, but it's just overwhelming. I don't know where to start. And I think that's another thing that we'll be able to give you is by the end of today, you're going to have installed it, and you'll have built several things, and you'll have a workflow where you kind of know how to do it. Andrew, last one.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like a couple things. I think just broadly with all AI, it's like there's so many cool things going on, but it's you don't know where to start. And so I think Claude Code was like what I wanted to kind of be my weapon of choice. But like even just figuring out like best practices for files and handling them and knowing, the kind of how to step through. Um, and then lastly, I think yeah, just figuring out like how to push through the pain of like feeling dumb and not knowing how to do it and like creating the time to do that.
That makes total sense. And yeah, I feel that. I resonate with that. Like pushing through the pain of feeling dumb is A, it's just really scary, but B, it's where growth happens. And I think we can, if we're all doing it together, it makes it much easier. Um, so on that note, in talking about pushing through the pain, this course, we're not really teaching you how to code, but we are teaching you how to um, do what used to require knowing how to code. And I just want to take a second to talk about that because I think it's kind of crazy. Like if you were learning to code 5 years ago or 20 years ago when I learned to code, it would require months and months and months of learning basic abstract concepts that you had no idea how they levered up into like a full app or anything that could actually do anything interesting in your life. I personally taught myself how to code with a book, which is kind of crazy. I would just like read my little book and then I would type things into my computer. And if I had a problem, I would just have to like look through the book to see if the author had written anything about it, which often they didn't. Um, and I taught a course like this like 2 years ago, and it was with ChatGPT. It's a coding with ChatGPT, and I have to say like coding with ChatGPT is much easier. It was much quicker for people to get something up and running. And the difference between 2 years ago and today, it's like 10x. It's way better now than even it was a couple years ago with ChatGPT, and I think it will be even better in a year or two. And so, what we're going to be able to do today is you'll have a couple of basic apps up and running yourself that you've built end to end that'll help you do practically important things for your work and for your life. Um, and and all of the skills that you build today, even if you don't get any better, and I hope that you will, but even if you don't, all of these skills and concepts are going to be even more powerful and more important in a year or two as these technologies get better. And I do want to say, nothing that we're talking about today doesn't mean the technical skills are invaluable. So if you're someone that has done some coding before or has been thinking about learning to code, I still actually think that that's quite a good use of your time. Um, However, you don't have to. And I also think of this course as like a little bit of a teaser, like an appetizer for learning to code. It might show you some of the things that will be possible if you truly learn some of the underlying um, fundamentals, and so hopefully it will allow you to enter that world in a non-intimidating way if that's your goal. But if not, that's also totally fine. I actually don't think that you need to unless you want to. And that sort of gets us to the last little bit of intro before we introduce ourselves and talk about the agenda. Um, I really hopefully you can feel how excited I am about this stuff. We're like a couple years into the AI wave, and I'm still as excited as I was a couple years ago. And um, hopefully this is your permission to be excited about this stuff. There's a lot of different emotions people have about AI, but I really guarantee you that if you have enough curiosity and persistence, you can build anything that you have in your head with Claude Code, and that's fucking awesome. Um, and that you've already done the hardest part, which is blocking out the time in your schedule to be here. And so we're all gonna build together, and it's gonna be amazing. So I hope everyone's really excited. I am. Okay, so what are you gonna walk away with today? Let's like give a little bit of like a promise so you understand what we're gonna do. One, you're gonna have Claude Code installed and ready to use. That was part of the setup already, so hopefully most of you have done this, but if you have not, we'll take some time to do this so that everyone's on the same page. We're gonna give you a framework and a way to think about how to what Claude Code is, what the terminal is, and how to do vibe coding with it in a way that even if you're non-technical is going to be productive for you. You're going to build an app from scratch, and then you'll be able to take away a process to build your own tools going forward that you can use in your work and in your life. I just want to take a second to introduce the team. I'm your instructor. I'm Dan Schipper. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Every. And let's have everybody left to right just briefly introduce themselves.
Hey guys, Will Mannon here, joining from Boston today. I'm John, helping Dan deliver the session, handling some of the logistics, and making sure that you guys have a great experience here at the workshop. So happy to be here with you and looking forward to today.
Sweet. Nitesh?
Nitesh, joining you from India. I'm your TA with her, helping you with any of the snafus that you hit upon while building and using Cloud Code.
Hey everyone, this is Yashar. I run Sparkle. I'm a self-taught dev, so I studied finance and did a marketing job earlier, so I resonate with a lot of people here. And if I can be technical, you can be technical as well. You're in the right place. So let's get started.
Sweet. Let's get started. Indeed, I'm going to share my screen again. All right. Will, you want to take it away with the agenda?
Yeah, I just want to share a bit of an overview of what we're doing today. So we're doing this welcome piece right now. Going to get into the download and setup. A lot of you guys said that friction of just getting started is one of the challenges. So make sure everyone's squared away with the setup for Claude Code. Dan will share a quick introduction. Then in the first half of the day, we'll do a first build out of an MPS dashboard. It's kind of like a test project just to get you going, building something. Dan will chat a little bit before lunch. So this idea is vibe coding real, just a little more conceptual stuff. Then we'll take a break for lunch. We get the next slide here. And then after lunch, we'll get into it where Dan's going to introduce the vibe coding loop. And then there's these three phases of sort of building, exploring an app in this one-shot build, and then building specific pieces and then repeating that. So walk through that with specific instructions how to do that. You'll have a lot of time to build and just really explore. There'll be demos and then sort of a look at what else is possible as we wrap up, an eye towards the future, how to use the skills that you're developing today. And one thing I'll mention, there's going to be space where if you're finishing some of the stuff early, there's also suggested project where you can go start building your own stuff in parallel to what is in the agenda. So no fear, if you're done early with things, there's room to explore on your own as well. And just a little bit about the support we have for y'all today. So Dan's going to talk about this a lot, but it's sort of like the teach a man to fish idea. Like Claude and ChatGPT can actually help troubleshoot a lot of things, right? When you're not on this session, those tools would be helpful to troubleshoot things. We're obviously here to support you as well. But as you're doing the setup and the different builds, Nitesh, Yash will be TAs in breakout rooms that you can self-select into. So we'll tell you how to do that. If you're feeling stuck or behind, you can jump in and chat with the TA. Later in the day, I'll be holding it down in a showcase room. If you're done early and want to show up what you've built, you can do that. And there's also the Discord channel running in parallel in addition to the Zoom chat. So different things to support you all. If you feel just totally lost and stuck, just send myself a DM, or Dan Sleeman is helping run the session as well. Just send one of us a DM here in Zoom. We can help you out. So excited to be here. Dan Schipper, I'll kick back to you and let's get into it.
Sweet. Thanks, Will. So Will already mentioned this, but I really want to underscore why you should not ask us for support today. And I'm obviously being a little bit facetious. We're here, but we're only going to be here for today. And for the rest of time, it's going to be you and Claude or you and ChatGPT. And so the more that you can build the muscle of, I have a problem, I don't know how to solve it, I'm going to use AI, I'm going to use Claude Code, I'm going to use Claude, I'm going to use ChatGPT. The more you can build that muscle to figure out these problems for yourself, the better off you're going to be. And I think this hopefully is a really great supportive place for you to build that muscle. So basically what I'm going to ask is, if you have a problem, and it's for sure you're going to run into problems today. Running into problems is part of building stuff, and you should not be surprised if you get stuck. But if you do get stuck, or when you do get stuck, I'm going to ask you to spend some time using Claude, using ChatGPT, or using Claude Code to try to solve your own problem. And if you do go into one of the support breakouts, we're going to ask for proof of work. So we're going to ask you, what have you done already? And I'd love to see some of the chats that you've had to try to figure out the problem, because what I really want the technical support to be for is debugging you using AI to solve your problems rather than solving the problem. Because the more we can teach you those skills to use AI to solve your own problems, the better off you're going to be at the end of the course. So hopefully that's clear. I just want to take a second to say, like, beyond, there are a lot of non-technical use cases for non-technical people that we're gonna go through today that are sort of the base level. But I really think that the sky with this stuff, with Claude Code in particular, is really the limit of what you can build. And if you take Every as an example, so we have 4 apps: Monologue, Sparkle, Quora, Spiral. Your 2 TAs, one is a GM of Sparkle, so he built it front to back. One worked on Quora for a long time and is now doing consulting with us. So they are intimately familiar with how powerful these tools are. And I want to reiterate, it would not be possible for us to have built these tools, which are used by thousands and thousands of people every day, without Claude Code. And so if you had to pick, I think, one skill where it immediately raises the floor of what you're able to do and then also raises the ceiling, learning Claude Code is that skill. It can take you wherever you want to go. So to reiterate, by 5 p.m., you're going to have built a live and working app, even if you never coded before. And you also learn a process that you can take to your own apps going forward. So you'll be able to do this in an ongoing way. And now I'm going to hand it over to Will again.
Yep. So guys, we're gonna do a quick breakout room just to chat with a few other people in the room. Again, pretty fast, but groups of 3. Just a chance to talk about 2 things. One, what do you hope to get out of today's course, right? Like, why are you here? And then once you learn the skill, what do you hope to use Claude Code for in the future? So do 10 minutes, groups of 3. Each person just say a quick hello, where you're joining in from, and just share your thoughts about 3 minutes, and we'll tell you when to switch. We'll have 3 minutes, 3-minute blocks. So once again, breakout room with 2 other folks here on the call today. What do you hope to get out of today's course, and how will you use Claude Code in the future? We'll talk about this, and then we'll get you all set up. So 10-minute breakouts, rooms are open.
Okay, let's get into it. I'm super curious to hear a little bit about who's here and what you talked about. So does anyone want to raise their hand and tell us what you shared and what you heard in your breakout? What do you want to get out of the course today, and how are you hoping to use Claude in the future? All right. What do I see?
We got
okay.
Felix has a hand up. Yeah.
Felix, go for it.
Yeah, so I put aside what I want, and basically want to get to learn everything you guys are going to teach, because it sounds like you guys have some really cool structure to it, which is very impressive for the large group that's here. So for me, I want to soak all of that and then see what I can do with that on my own afterwards, but just soak as much knowledge. From the breakout sessions, it seems like a lot of people are getting empowered to build custom apps for their own workflows. And it's already starting to make me feel like moving my gauge of, is AI going to automate people's jobs away? I'm starting to move a little bit towards, people are going to really automate portions of their job, and their jobs are going to stay intact because it's just going to be a little easier. So you're not like walking like a donkey, but really it's so customized that you're not really going to get, ChatGPT doing everything that people want to do. So I'm impressed by that. I'm not going to take much more time. There's so much I could say. I'm excited, and Dan, thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And I'm just curious, just real quick, tell me like just a little bit about you. What do you do? What's your job? Where are you?
So, little crazy guy, he actually emailed you, and then you brought this course up. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm a former founder. I've been a pilot as my first career, and then got into business and partnerships, and then eventually became a founder, CEO, and built a tech company in Kenya, raised money from Silicon Valley. I'm now back in New York, about to figure out what my next thing is. And this is exciting. So I have some specific things that I hope to connect with some people on your team. You might be too busy, but some people on your team might be able to help me with that. So if that's possible, I'd love that.
Awesome. We'll figure that out. Thanks for sharing. Rick, tell us a little bit about you, and then tell us what you hope to get out of this course and what you talked about in your breakout.
Okay, I'm a founder, past founder, and I'm really excited to learn a new sense. And by that, I mean a new way to communicate and a new way to be empowered. And I have some things that I'm trying to create, but I got stumped right away as soon as I got into these tech screens. And I've done programming in the past, but not this type. But anyway, it's empowering, and I want to connect with everybody. And this is a way to do it, man. I'm learning my new senses. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Dr. Kevin.
Hello, I serve families with autism primarily to help with sleep issues and also kind of severe challenging behavior. So I have these like 2-hour raw transcripts from our meetings. And I want to do like 4 things that I can't do with Claude Max right now is extract them and have a follow-up like document that sends to the family and myself, update Notion pages and update a master list of learnings that we've had across these meetings as like a master knowledge bank. And I hit the context window all the time through Claude, and I need to go to Claude Code, I think, to get out of that constraint and have this 4-step process. If I could do that, that would save me 3.5 hours a day. That'd be great.
That's awesome. I bet you we can do that.
I think it's
And
doable. I think it's a
I think
doable goal.
I think it's doable. I'm really psyched about this. Obviously, we have our own like set of things we're going to build today, but you will have time to also work on your own things in parallel. And so I think you'll be able to make progress on it today. And I love that. I love that use case. It's a perfect use case for the power of this. Even if you're not like programming all the time, you're a doctor and you need to automate the the notes that you're taking or how you interact with your patients. So I love it.
Sweet.
We'll do a couple more. Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in like 2 things primarily. So the first one is like I've been using Claude Code a lot, built a lot of things internally. I have no idea if the way I approached building it was correct. So it's kind of like a meta learning of like how to approach these problems and organize better, because I think you can do it poorly and it still works, but that doesn't mean you did it fast and the best way possible, which are both really interesting to me. The second thing was like how to build both like internal tools. So you don't have to be as polished and beautiful as like the every tools that you guys build, but like I built apps internally that enable a lot of the job that I do. But I also want to learn how to build the really pretty stuff that goes out to the world and people would actually pay for and find value in. So like those are the things that we talked about briefly that I really want to learn today.
That's awesome. And just tell us like what you work on, where you are, all that kind of stuff. Oh, did you hear me, Elliot? Oh,
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn,
I hear both.
head of growth of a software company. So I'm doing a lot of like growth, go to market, marketing stuff like that.
Awesome. Awesome. We're in Fort Greene. Sorry, in Boerum Hill. I live in Fort Greene, but we're in Boerum Hill.
And I'm in Bed-Stuy, so
Oh,
we can
awesome.
hang out
Very
sometime.
close. Yeah, that'd be great. All right, last person, Tyler.
Hi, yeah. So the things that I really wanted to learn here are overall the basic functionality of Claude Code and what it can do, what the different tools are, and the mechanics of how it works, so that I can hopefully apply that to a bunch of different parts of my life. And I work in a couple of different fields. I have a few companies, some in consulting, some in like custom tailored longevity, and performance consulting. And there's a lot of opportunities for automating parts of what I do, which is like specialized knowledge application. And I just really want to understand the full mechanics of Claude Code so I can see what's the best way to apply this to like the problems that I'm working on a daily basis.
Great. I love it. That's exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to start now. So I'm going to share my screen again. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you for being here again. Let's do the hardest part, getting set up. I'm going to do a little bit of an intro to like what Claude Code is, what the terminal is, all that kind of stuff. We asked you all to like get Claude Code working on your machine before today, but in case you have not done that, we're going to have some time. We'll do a live demo of how that works, and then we're going to have some time for you all to set yourselves up. But let's start with like a little bit of an overview of what this thing even is. So what's Claude Code? Very simply, it's an agent that lives in your terminal. We'll talk about what a terminal is, but it's an agent. Let's just say it's an agent that lives on your computer. It can run. One of the things that makes it different is that it is designed to run for like 10 to 30 minutes at a time autonomously. So it can do a lot of work without so much oversight. So rather than ChatGPT or Claude, which is mostly designed for back and forth conversation, Claude is a little bit like a coworker where you can say, "Hey, I'd like you to go do this thing," and then it'll come back, 30 minutes later with something that is pretty close to what you asked for usually. Let's see. Okay, so I want to talk about. My slides are slightly disorganized, but I want to talk about why Claude Code is so different and so powerful. It really created this paradigm shift in the way programming works. And I think the biggest reason, or one of the big reasons, is it took away the need to look at your code. So in previous paradigms, previous versions of AI programming was a code editor where you typed your code by hand, and then a little chat on the side that let you interact with the AI. And so that was really designed for a world where you're still looking at the code, you're still writing the code, but the AI is there to help you. It's kind of like with you sometimes, but not really. Claude Code, they just like threw out the text editor. So it's really just an agent that you talk to, and that's how you code. So you don't really look at the code at all. You're not writing code at all. And one of the big design choices that they made that I think is so interesting and so important is it's designed like there's a programmer that's on your computer. So everything that you have access to, Claude has access to. And that makes it incredibly powerful. And you can think about, the difference between maybe ChatGPT on the web. It doesn't have access to your whole computer. So all the things that you have access to, ChatGPT can't get. And these tools get way more powerful when they have access to more things. And so Claude Code gives you this sort of like ultimate power because it's a little bit like you have a professional developer that is like living inside of your laptop that you can call to do magical things. And you may be wondering, okay, why is it in this like super weird matrix style software thing called the terminal that like only programmers use? That's like super intimidating. So I want to talk about like what a terminal is and like why Claude Code's in the terminal to get you a little bit familiar with, so we can demystify it somewhat. Okay, what's a terminal? It's this. It's this little black box on the right. The way that you use computers right now, when you're using your Mac or you're using your PC or maybe you're using Linux, it's graphical. It's a graphical user interface. You have like icons and buttons and windows and all that kind of stuff where you can click and drag and resize things. And it's built to, you can look at it and interact with it in a way that's spatial and just makes sense to like the way that humans like to work. But before graphical user interfaces, and depending on when you started using computers, you may remember this, computers only operated on text. You would type commands to them and then they would respond. Because that is part of the history of computers, is starting with text and then moving into graphical user interfaces. all modern computers have a way to interact with them via text, interact with them via this like more primal way of getting into the computer. And what's really interesting about the terminal is because it is that like that underlying, it's a way to access that underlying architecture. It lets you access a lot of what's deepest about your computer in a way that is more powerful. And so programmers use terminals because it lets you get like this direct, precise, fast control of your machine. Because typing commands is you can do programming with it, so you can interact with your machine in a much more powerful way than just like clicking and dragging. And that's why Claude Code runs in the terminal, because the terminal allows it to interact with your computer like a programmer would, and so it increases its power. And I think what's important is you're not really spending that much time in the terminal. All you have to do with the terminal is start Claude Code, and once you start it, Claude is doing the interacting with the terminal. So there shouldn't be actually too much work to do that is specific to the terminal and all the commands. So it should not be that intimidating once we get you set up. But what we're going to do now is we're going to download and install Claude Code. There are instructions in the Notion doc that we're going to share in the chat, and we'll also share in the Discord. Nitesh is actually going to do a live demo, and then you're going to have some time to do it yourself if you have not done that yet. So Nitesh, would you like to just reintroduce yourself and do a little bit of a demo of installing Claude Code?
Of course. Hey everyone, Nitesh here. So I actually fun backstory is that I taught myself how to code using ChatGPT when it came out back in 2023, and now using Claude Code, it's just become so much easier to build stuff, and that's what we'll be doing here today. So let me just share my screen and show you all how you can install the Claude Code application on your terminal. Okay, you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay. So you should open terminal, like just type on your Mac, search for terminal like this, and it will open an app that looks something like this. And over here, then you're going to the Notion doc that we have shared with you, and just follow the steps over here. So the first step is to copy this command and paste it in just using Command V like regular, and press enter. So this should have Claude like it should start the installation process, and Claude will be installed in just a minute. Okay, setting up Claude. So even like working with Claude, just to fill in the size, like even installing Claude and working with Claude has become easier over the last few months. So this is just getting easier and easier every day. So okay, here Claude has been successfully installed on my machine, and now if you're installing Claude for the first time, you may see an additional instruction over here asking you to run a command like this, which will allow your machine. This is something that you'll need to do if you install Claude on your machine for the first time. You can just copy and paste this command, and that's an additional step that you may have to do. But for me, my installation is completed right now, and the way to test it is by running, just run Claude like this. Just type Claude, press enter, and it will start Claude, and you'll be able to see something like this. Okay. Now, but before you do that, we'll install just one more thing, which will give Claude an extra superpower, which is an MCP server called Playwright. So you'll be able to copy this command again, and then paste that into your terminal, press enter. Be sure that you've exited
Hey,
Claude.
Nitesh, I want to just stop you because people are saying that they're lost.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that we're slowing down a little bit just to make sure people have what they need. So I think the first question, which is super important, is how do we find the terminal?
Right. So in order to find the terminal, terminal is just like a regular app. So the way you will find Zoom or anything, you just go to your go to the Mac. I'm not sure if you can still see my screen, but you can, yeah, you can search for a terminal like this.
And if you're on Windows, it's CMD. It's the command prompt. So the key distinction. If you're on Windows, it's different. It's called the command prompt. You can search CMD. And for Mac, it's terminal.
Yep, and the instructions should be mostly the same. So you can, so Nitesh, what is the key that you press to show all those icons? Because I think that's a little bit confusing.
Oh, that was just a 3-finger swipe, like the 4-finger swipe on my.
Okay, but let's just do it in a way that people can see. So maybe in Finder.
Okay. So go to Finder. Inside applications, you will be able to find.
Nitesh, I think the simplest way if you close it, if you go to this magnifying glass in the upper right corner of your screen and click that and search for terminal, I think that's going to be the simplest way.
The best.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So here, yeah, you just use Spotlight search and open terminal.
Great. So once you have it open, and if you could just exit Claude Code for a second.
Yeah, it's exited.
Okay, cool. Then we have a Notion page where all you have to do, if Nitesh, you can go to the Notion page, just go to that first command right there, copy it, and then go paste it back into your terminal. So before you paste it, so that's all he did. He opened terminal, he copied, and then he pasted, and then he's going to hit enter.
Yes.
And what that's going to do is it's going to go and download Claude Code from Anthropic's servers and then install it for you. And that should be the right command for Windows. Nitesh, can you confirm that that is actually the Windows command?
Let me just confirm.
Yeah. CMD or command prompt. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be pretty. It will be pretty quick. So people who are asking, it'll be pretty quick. So it's already installed. Sounds like people who are on Windows may be having some trouble. We will get you the Windows specific command for the people. Before we do that, for the people who said that they were lost, I just want to check. Does this feel clear even if it's not working for you yet?
Yes. It's helping. Thank you. I am getting I just realized I'm not on camera. I am getting a git command requires command line developer tools. Would you like to install the tools now? I don't know if that's part of it or I can take it to the chat, but don't know if anyone else is getting that. I did get the installation complete, so.
Great. I would install developer tools, yes.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
So actually, the Windows command is slightly different. And I'm going to just give you the Windows command, and we'll put it in the here's the Claude Code setup docs. So if you're on Windows, go to the Claude Code setup docs. We'll also update our Notion with that, and if you need help, we will help you with it. Okay, there are people with an error. The default interactive shell to update your account, blah blah blah. Can one of you, either Nitesh or Yash, can you look at the error that Ray is having and see if you can help him with it?
I'm on it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So so all we're going to do now is this set of setup instructions. So you're going to install Claude Code. You're going to install one MCP, which is called Playwright. And then let me see if there's any other steps that we need you to do before we're done. Then we're going to run Claude. Once you are running Claude, we are going to do a
sorry, Playwright MCP. How do we do that part? We just write Claude MCP. Where do we have to?
So just copy paste that command into the terminal. So
from where?
good question. So Nitesh, can you open up your terminal?
Yeah.
But if you, so was that the Notion page? Like, how do I get to that
Yeah.
page where you could copy from? Where is that?
Yeah. So
there's a Notion page. Yeah.
we just put the Notion page again in the chat, just a really high level. There's instructions in a Notion page, and then you have your terminal on your machine, and there's 5 steps in the Notion page. So you're going to be one by one grabbing the links from the Notion page, putting those in your terminal, and hitting enter. And those 5 steps is what's going to help everybody set up Claude Code. So Notion page, copy those different commands, put them in the terminal.
And what I want you to also note is we are here to answer your questions. Some of these questions are things that Claude or ChatGPT can answer for you, and this is a good opportunity for you to start to exercise that muscle. And so, for example, Kristen, I know it's saying command not found. That's something that we've talked about, and there are instructions in the Notion for. But if you are running into that, what I'd love for you to do is put that into Claude Code, or put that into ChatGPT, or put that into Claude, and ask it what might be going on, and see if you can solve your issue yourself. And if you can't, then come back to us.
I love that, but I want to just voice, I think a particular challenge with that is that this is going so fast and we're all trying to get it set up. So we don't really have the luxury of being able to pause and like pivot to ask questions, which I would normally totally do. So
that
just
makes total
kind of
sense.
voicing.
I don't want to go too fast. So we're going to give everybody a lot of time to go through this document and get themselves set up. Let me think about how we're going to structure this. So, Will, we have some time set up for this, right?
Yeah, this is the block one right now. If you go to the deck end, there's some breakout support rooms. So like Yash will be in a support room. So if you're really stuck, we have these choose your own breakouts where you can jump in and get support. But we have some time set aside right now just to make sure everybody has this set up. Okay, so we sort of did the demo. I think everybody started setting up as the demo was going, but this is now the working block we have. So we're going to open breakouts. Basically, you're not going to be sent automatically to a breakout. You get to opt into a breakout. So the support rooms with TAs from the every team available if you're totally lost, help you troubleshoot, right? But right now, everybody's going to this is our time to set up Claude Code. We'll put the Notion doc in the chat one more time. And it's really simple. You open that Notion doc. There's 5 lines that you paste one by one. And in the meantime, you just have to let Claude run. And so you take the first one, put it in your terminal. Then you do the second one into the terminal, third one in the terminal. You do those 5 and get set up. So this is the time we have set aside to make sure everybody's set up. And then at that point, we'll be ready to go and build our first app. So that sound good, Dan? Yeah.
Can you also put it on
wait, Rick, just
Discord?
1 second. Rick, just 1 second. Will, how much time do we have blocked off for this? Until when?
We can go till 11:30. I mean, it's a little bit flexible. We said 11:15 to 11:30. So we have
Let's go to 11:30. So
cool.
If you are having trouble setting it up, we have 30 minutes from now until 11:30 where we're gonna help you set it up. I'm gonna go and do another demo for you just so we can start from the beginning. If you need support, feel free to go to any one of these breakouts, and I'll also answer anybody's questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Nitesh, can I ask you to update the Claude Code instructions so that they work for Windows? Because we do not have a Windows specific installation instruction in the Notion. Can you just update that, please? Nitesh?
Nitesh is in a support breakout.
Oh, he's in a, okay, got it. Okay, someone needs to do that. We'll figure that out. I'm going to answer a couple questions and then I'll just do that.
You're putting a lot of the stuff onto the chat. Can you also copy some of it onto the Discord?
Yes. Dan Sleeman or Will, would you mind doing that?
Yep.
Okay, Nicola.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm actually struggling to understand how I can join one of the breakout rooms, but my main question was I already had installed Claude Code based on the email that you guys sent out, but there was only one command there. And then step 2, so it says after Claude installs, run this other command. Do I now need to just redo it and run that command afterwards? Or because I didn't run that command, but it's working?
You don't need to redo it. You can just start at step 2.
But so I should do step 2, just copy and paste that in without any, just from the beginning. It should
Correct.
work. Okay, thank you.
Of course. Let me just figure this out. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm just trying to figure out how to do the Windows install instructions. All right. All right, we are up to date on all the Windows specific commands. They're all in the Notion. So if you just refresh your Notion page, those should show up. And I'm going to go through another demo. So if you're confused, you'll be able to watch me and you'll be able to ask questions. Before I get started, anybody have questions that you want me to go through?
Hi, Dan. Quick question. Do we absolutely need premium seats to be able to proceed? That's what I'm getting in the terminal.
Premium seats. Tell me more.
Yeah. So I've completed the install, and the next step says that if the browser didn't open, use this URL. I open it, and there it says premium seat required.
Yes, I assume that's saying you need to pay for Claude in order to use Claude Code. So yes, you're going to need to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's get started. I'm going to start again. So I think you can see my screen. So what I'm going to do to get started is I'm just going to open the magnifying glass right here. If you can see that. I'm going to type terminal, and that's going to search for the terminal. This is sort of like the magic box that helps me get into my machine. It should look like this when you open this on a Mac. It should look pretty similar on Windows. All I'm going to do, depending on my machine, I'm going to do this command because I'm on Mac OS. I'm going to copy it. If you're on Windows PowerShell, use this. If you're on Windows CMD, which is the default on Windows, please use this. I'll paste it. Cool. Now it's installed, so it really should not take too long. What I'm going to do next is step number 2, which basically what this does, just in case you're wondering, and you actually don't really need to know that much, but I'm going to paste it into my terminal. So again, it's just like this. I'm just going to paste it. I could even do it in a new terminal window, for example. It doesn't have to be right after your Claude command. We're just going to paste it. And what this is telling us is now I can use the Claude command, so I can just type Claude in my terminal, and that will start Claude Code. So now if I type Claude, it did not work. Interesting. I may have just messed up my Claude instance. Yeah, cool. So now if I type Claude, it should run for me. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to install Playwright, and it's the same process. Just going to take this, I'm going to paste it, just pasting this line of code. And what this is doing is it's installing a tool for Claude that allows it to, it's called Playwright, that allows it to view the stuff it's making. So it like sort of closes the loop where Claude, if it makes something for you, it can actually go view the website it made, and that helps it debug issues. So I'm going to install Playwright. And then I'm just going to run Claude. Now we're in Claude. So that's it. That's the basic stuff.
Is Playwright also for Windows?
Yes, it should work for Windows.
Thank you.
The only other thing that I want you to do once you've done this, once you're in Claude, is type /init and then paste this in, which is this is the last command, it's step 5. And what this is going to do is just give Claude a couple of instructions for how it should operate on your machine in a way that will make it friendly for you. So you just copy paste this command /init and then all this stuff, press enter, and then Claude is going to set itself up and it'll start working for you. Does this feel...
Dan,
yes.
Just a quick question on that. I think others have the same question. Do we definitely want to bypass permissions? Because it's asking us to accept some responsibilities.
Yes. They make it seem really scary, and there are things that you should know. So it does create some security issues. For the stuff that we're doing today, it's fine to bypass permissions. It won't do anything bad. But you should know that having an AI on your computer that can modify it, if you get hacked or something like that, can cause the AI to go do stuff on your computer that you might not like. So I think that they go like way overboard with like making it seem scary. The alternative, which you can do if you want. So if you don't want to dangerously skip permission, you can just type Claude. And what that will do is it will confirm with you before it does anything. For every single command it runs, it will confirm it with you. So if you prefer to do it that way, that's totally fine. And I recommend it if that's what you want. I find it personally annoying, so I mostly dangerously skip permissions. So it's up to you whether or not you want to live dangerously or not. But I don't think it's as dangerous as it makes it seem.
Okay. So you're mainly concerned though with like an outside actor coming in to run things on your machine versus like you doing something that messes it up.
Yeah, so that would be the risk, is there's some sort of like prompt injection where it goes off and does something that you didn't. And I personally think the risk is pretty low. I don't think that that's like an attack vector that people are using right now. If you feel uncomfortable, you can totally use it with permissions on and approve until you feel more comfortable. So feel free to start that way. Personally, I just dangerously skip permissions, but it's up to you.
Great. Thanks, man.
Dan, when we're reopening Claude in every instance, should we always be running the Claude dangerously skip permissions in order to initiate the session, or is once you've done it, it's good to go?
Basically, every time you open Claude, you decide whether or not you want to dangerously skip permissions, and that'll change the permission mode. So if you wanted to skip permissions, you have to say that every time. But like people are saying, it can be a good thing to not do the dangerously, just type Claude and not dangerously skip permissions while you're getting familiar, just so you can kind of like understand what it's doing. If that's what you want, that's completely fine. I think I heard someone else asking a question. If you have questions, feel free to raise your hand.
Yeah, hey Dan.
Yeah.
For the init command, where it's specifying the Claude projects directory, I assume that's where you store all your Claude projects.
Yeah.
So we should just modify this to be the full path to wherever we actually want all of that stuff to run. Yeah.
Yes, if you're already set up with some other setup, then it's totally fine to modify it to be whatever your Claude project's path is.
Sure.
This is just helping people who are
One example. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Dan, just flagging some questions in the chat. Raj was asking, he unable to copy and paste commands on Claude terminal. I don't know if you've ever seen that before. Do you have to close it, restart it? I don't know if you've seen that.
You can. So Mark asked if it's okay to run NVS code. You can. Why can't I copy and paste the commands on Claude terminal? I'm not sure. Raj, would you mind just I would say either join a breakout. I would say join a breakout if you're having trouble.
Cool.
Amy. Yeah.
Well, one thing you go for it, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the terminal screen should look like if everything is working is so if it's working, you'll see this like Claude alien, and that means Claude is running. So that's the thing where you get to be like, oh my God, I'm ready. Sorry, what were you saying, Will?
Yeah, just for any folks here, we like to say this is sometimes like if you're ever surfing, you have to get out past the break. Like these waves are breaking, you have to paddle out past that. It can be the hardest part. And once you're out there, you sit on your board, start catching waves. So this is just this first setup. It can be a little tricky, but that's why we're here, get you through this. And I think a lot of people do have it set up, troubleshoot these questions, and we'll get going here soon. So
Yes, you can do this. And we are here to help. If you're having authentication issues, maybe if you could raise your hand and we can talk about it more, I'm happy to talk you through it.
Hey, Dan. Quick
Yes.
question. So after you run the init command in Claude, and let's say I just choose to initiate a new project.
Mhm.
It says that since it's a brand new project with no existing code, I can't create the claude.md file. Should we just ignore that for now since we're not actually working on anything yet?
Yeah, I think that should be, I don't think that should be a problem.
Okay.
Natalia.
Hi, Dan. Yeah, I'm having authentication issues. So I'm trying to log in with both API key and Claude Code key, but it's just saying authentication failed. And when I ask Claude how to do it, he just keeps telling me to copy paste or type it myself. So that's also failing.
Thank you. I think this is probably one of those things that you should join the breakout. Join a breakout for, because they can do some more hands-on work with you.
Okay.
And if you don't get it resolved, let me know. Keith.
Sorry, managing a couple of things here. Okay, so I'm running this inside of VS Code. And my question to you basically is, now that I'm in there using this terminal instance, I should just be using this as if this was my native terminal instance directly on my computer. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Just making sure I'm up to speed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Deanna's ready to start surfing. I love to see it. Get ready to start paddling. So yeah, good to see.
I'm going to do a little poll and just see how, like, where we are in terms of people who are set up versus not. So how many people are set up? React with the alien if you're set up, and if you're not, please react with a question mark. Looks like we've got a lot of aliens. This is very promising. I love it. This is so funny. Okay, cool. Really, really great to see all these aliens. We're all aliening together.
Sorry, Dan, I'm so sorry. How do I join the breakout rooms again?
How do you join the breakout rooms?
If you hit
that's the real question.
If you hit at the bottom of your screen, it should say breakouts. You click that, and then there's these blue buttons to join on the right hand side. I'll paste what it looks like in the chat again. But yeah, we got some support in there. If anybody is not yet having
I found it. Cool,
By the way,
thanks so much.
we are. It looks like pretty much most of the people here are set up. If you're not set up, you're in a breakout. So there's like 190 people who are more or less set up. So we've got 15 minutes. So let's just let's chat, or B, if you want to go off and do some Claude Code stuff, like feel free. You can go right ahead. You don't have to wait for me. But I want to hear more about how things are going. What's on your mind? Let's talk about anything. We want to talk about Gemini 3, happy to talk about it. I just want to make this fun and useful for you guys while we're waiting. We just have people with lots of different skill ranges, so we need to make sure we're keeping everyone together as much as possible. Will, did you have something to say?
No.
Yeah. Hey, Dan. So long time dev,
I'll
but
say,
first
Sid,
time.
Sid, just raise your hand so I can call people.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
John.
So one thing that I've always wondered, and I haven't gotten a good, clear answer on, I'm curious your perspective, is at work, Cursor is kind of the jam that everyone is navigating towards, and I've always liked Claude Code and preferred Claude Code. Using Cursor or using Claude Code inside of Cursor, would you do that? What is the difference of using that versus using Cursor directly? Because sometimes I feel like I'm not sure which to use and when. Does that make sense?
Good question. I think of Cursor, and it makes sense. I think a lot of more senior engineers who are like a little bit more mid-career are going to prefer Cursor because it feels a little bit more like traditional engineering. And so if you're someone who doesn't want to be like fully delegating to AI and more wants to like use it as a partner, as something to pair with, I think Cursor is a better option. I personally feel that and the way that we write code at Every is we just like got rid of writing code by hand, and everyone writes everything with Claude Code. And I personally feel that the transition from like pair programming to fully agentic programming, it's a totally different skill that has different benefits and trade-offs. And some people don't want to do it, but if you fully give yourself over to it, I think it's a skill that is going to be incredibly important in the future, and is going to be the way that like new programmers learn to program more or less. So I think there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little bit more like halfway between the old world and the new world versus just like being fully in the new world of that.
And do you recommend that if you're doing that, that you use Claude Code within Cursor so it understands the context of the code base? Or do you think that, do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of always feels meta because you're using it within terminal inside of Cursor. And so I just didn't know if you suggest like dividing it out or not when you're dealing with like large code bases.
I mean, either way, like it has access to your file system, so it has access to your whole code base. So whether or not you use it in terminal, I think whether or not use it in terminal is more about for you what's more comfortable, what workflow do you want, rather than like what Claude Code is able to do, because it works either way.
Thank you.
Sure. Neil.
Hey, hi, thanks. Actually, just quickly following up on that, if you're in Cursor and you use Claude through their IDE chat thing versus use Claude Code in the terminal, are the models used being like different?
Claude Code in the terminal versus Claude in their chat. I'm
In the
pretty sure
Cursor chat.
yeah, I'm pretty sure the models are the same. It's possible that they're using like some slight variant of Claude for Claude Code that makes it run a little bit longer and gives it a little bit more freedom. But I'm pretty sure they're
They're pretty much similar. Okay. Okay, so I just had like a couple of quick questions. So one was I was excited to see that you're building out a personal finance app because it's something that was on my to-do list as well. Except that I plan to build out mine within Notion because that's where all my stuff is. So I was just wondering if I could install the Notion MCP as well, and do you think it's doable to adapt whatever you have in mind? For me to like try and do it, but using Notion as the backend for my databases. Do you think that
You
would be
can try it.
workable?
I would say like the way that we've structured this, I'll ask you to like export your data from somewhere, and Notion makes it pretty easy to export. So I might recommend you start by exporting, and
Okay.
that'll let you follow what we're doing a little bit more closely. And then as you get more comfortable, you can add the MCP. I imagine you'll be able to figure that out, but
Mm.
if you want to stick a little bit closer to what we're doing so that you don't get lost,
Okay. All right.
if you want to live dangerously, I fully support it. And
Okay.
I think that you'll figure it out, but I might recommend you export first.
Okay, sure. So I will try a little bit and report back. And is there a difference between using Claude Code for web versus Claude Code in terminal?
There is a difference. So when you use it in a terminal, it's on your computer. When you use it on the
Right.
web, it's spinning up a virtual machine that it's running inside of. And so you don't have access to that virtual machine. It's not your environment. And so that comes with a lot of trade-offs that make it a little bit harder to use.
Okay, so everything we're doing today recommended on the terminal.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. If I have more questions, I'll come back. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see, David.
Yeah, appreciate it. I think you mentioned there's a couple different levels of folks here. Maybe for those of us that aren't, previously professional engineers, can you walk through kind of the life cycle or how you're using it and setting it up? Because I think the danger in going through a project, the danger that I have found myself is you just get in, you start building, and then you've worked your way into a mess, into a hole, because we don't have those patterns of like, what does a good design look like? Like, when are you ready to actually put fingers on keyboard and build and kind of recognize and steer it?
We will deal with that. So that will be a big
Okay.
part of what we talk about later. So I don't want to spoil it. So stay tuned. Roberto.
Hi, everyone. So a bit of context. I'm completely new into AI. I have just been using AI to simple stuff. And now I take this deep dive into start learning about cloud code. And now I'm listening to all of you guys talking about Cursor, Bible, and all that. And the thing that happens to me is how you deal with the anxiety that you feel always behind on this crazy AI era. My context, I come from a family business here in Chile. My father has been in 40 years in the same industry. I've been 10 years in the industry. And it's an industry, at least here, that is completely, and it's stranger to the technology, the software. And so for me and for the whole team, it's a mix between fear and anxiety, everything that is happening with AI. So I wanted to hear from you, Dan, and from Georgina, and from the rest from the people here, how you deal with so much information and how you distill. I mean, how you say, okay, I believe I can hear this guy. For example, that's how I get to you guys from area. I say, okay, I think this is valuable information and I can trust in their voice. But again, yesterday, Gemini 3.0 was launched in the world, and I think that all the alerts say, hey, did you know? And now you can do this stuff, and ChatGPT is obsolete, and OpenAI is losing the war. And if you don't know what is going on, you're going to lose your job in 2 days. So how you deal with that, people? I mean, and then being really honest with you, it's crippling. That's the war.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Well, I have to be a little bit self-serving and say, just read every. We got you covered. And I do think like that is what we're trying to do, is make a place where you feel like if it matters, we'll cover it and we'll teach you how to do it. And if it doesn't matter, we won't have to worry about it. So like you just subscribe and you're covered. And that's one of the things we're doing today is like we think that Claude Code is one of those things that you should know about. And that's why we're doing this course. So that's the idea of every. However, I think there is just this larger thing of like, oh my God, there's all this stuff coming out. Every's covering it, but I don't even have time for that. And maybe I'll lose my job in 2 days if I don't like learn what Gemini 3 is, like all that kind of stuff. And I think I have a couple things to say to that. One is if you know the word cursor, you are like in a small elite of people who are like already at the edge. There's like there's all these like little levels to this. There's, if you're working at a big AI lab and you know what's coming out before it comes out, like those people are at the way edge. But I think if you are here, you are already so far ahead of the adoption of all of these tools. You're at the very bleeding edge. And so I actually don't think that you need to be super worried about it, because what I find is because you're already in this place, if you're worrying, then you're just like hopping from thing to thing and you're like, you never feel like anything's enough and you're just like, oh my God. And so if instead you approach it from a little bit of confidence that you're doing the things that you need to do, and what AI should do if it's used properly is help you do better work and live a better life. And if you focus on those things that you're curious about and things that you want to get done in your life and see what the tools are that might help you do that, and maybe Claude Code is one of those, find the tools that work for you and just use them to the extent they help you. And when something new comes out, pay attention, like maybe look at it briefly, but you don't have to use the new thing just because it's new. You should only use it if it's like actually serving you. I think there are some people like me on this call who I just love new stuff, and so that's why it's this is a good job for me, because I just get to play around with new stuff. But if I didn't love it, I would find tools that work for me and use them to enhance my work and my life. And I think you're doing enough already that you don't have to be anxious about it. And more anxiety is not going to help you. And what will help you is just knowing that you're already pretty much at the edge, and so your task now is to find practical ways where it can help you rather than use the latest thing or know the latest thing.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for that. I'm going to share this with my therapist today at the end of the day. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
I love it. Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, mine is related to what Roberto was saying. Like, I think something he was saying was making me think of, I had recently read some Kevin Kelly stuff where he talks about like the idea of thinkism, right? Where like we think we can learn our way into like solving a problem, and he instead like talks a lot about like prototyping your life, and that like you learn by doing quick iterations. And I think that's like the fear of like AI is like knowing where to start. But I'm curious like what your thoughts are on the trade-offs of like places to invest in like strong foundations, because they'll be accelerators as you then try to iterate. Like you were talking about, like, for example, as I've like started to understand file structure better, right? And like being able to look at code, I can prompt better because I know like what to tell the agent to do, because I don't like the way that something looks. And I'm just like curious, like how you would think about figuring out like, oh, okay, I'm never going to be a top-notch developer, and that's like a waste of my skills, like because I'm never going to be in the top 10% of that. But I think there are other places where I can, right? And so I think like figuring out what's enough to be dangerous and know what I don't know, but like also explicitly being like, I'm making the decision not to try to know those things, but at least I know that I don't know it.
Great question. And one that I think about a lot, and I'll say, first of all, there's no one answer. So it depends on who you are and what your context is. But the way that I think about this is when I was growing up, I took piano lessons and guitar lessons, and they were very, very theory and fundamental focused. And same thing for programming actually, but like really also for music stuff. Like I was just learning scales and all this like boring, and like the notations, and it just felt like super boring to me, even though I loved music. And I never ever did my music homework. And my teachers hated me, obviously, because it was like super annoying, because I was just like, I would always just never do the work. But I love playing music, and I love playing piano, and I love playing guitar. I just didn't love having to learn stuff that didn't connect to what I actually wanted to do, which is play music. And now I have YouTube, and so I have a piano here, if you can see that. And on YouTube, like I can pick any song, and there's someone who's done an incredible YouTube tutorial of like any song that I want to learn, and I can do it without any of the theory or any of the fundamentals. However, if you are in a place where you're starting to do this stuff, and you're starting to get to be maybe a more advanced musician, or you're starting to build stuff through Claude Code without learning the fundamentals of programming, you will run into problems that are hard to solve because you don't have the conceptual underlying fundamental understanding. And that is a great time to then go get it. So one of the things I've noticed is I'm watching a lot of music theory on YouTube. And that's because I've been motivated by running into things that I don't really know about how they work or why they work, because I'm trying to play songs. And so I think of this course, for example, as a stepping stone to, you're going to run into problems and you're going to be like, oh shit, I don't know how the file system works. Now I need some of that fundamental underlying understanding. And Claude Code, ChatGPT, Claude are all great for that. And I think when you think about fundamentals are sometimes they're important just because they're beautiful. But really, where fundamentals are most important are because they help you solve problems. We found fundamentals because like we ran into problems we didn't know how to solve, and so we had to go down to the fundamentals to like figure out how to solve them. And I think programming, music, pretty much most skills work that way. The really cool thing about AI is it flipped from you have to learn the fundamentals and then you can do cool stuff to you can do cool stuff, and then when you run into problems, you will like learn the fundamentals in order to solve those problems. So I would just pay attention to like, where am I getting stuck, and then learn the fundamentals to help you get unstuck. Does that make sense? All right.
Hey, Dan, want to flag, read the half hour with the breakout room crews back. We got some love in the chat for Yash, working well under pressure. Nitesh, all of you in the TA room, thank you guys. And yeah, Dave, I think we're ready to go, Dan. Let's do the first app.
All right, let's get started. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for getting to this point. If you've seen The Alien, you're a hero. A lot of us have seen The Alien. Thank you, Nitesh and Yash, for all of your work. Let's go get started. Before we actually get into the build, I just want to talk about a couple things that we talked about a bit. If you're in the breakouts, we talked about it a bit just as a group, but I just want to talk about why Claude Code. We talked a little bit about this transition from code editors to terminal apps like Claude Code. And what you may or may not know is that there are many different now terminal agents. So you don't just have to use Claude Code. There's also one called Codex, which is from OpenAI. There's also one called Droid, which is from Factory, and they all have different trade-offs, and I actually use all three of them. And the reason that we picked Claude Code is it was just the first one. It sort of started this whole movement, and so I think it's the most friendly. I think it's the most advanced in terms of like its affordances in the UI and all that kind of stuff. But you can and should totally check out the other ones, and there's they all have their benefits and drawbacks, and we can talk about them. One of the cool things about Droid, for example, is you can use models from multiple different providers, which is pretty cool. But don't feel like you have to use Claude Code if after this session, if you don't want to, you can totally go explore. But I do think it is super powerful, and it's the one that started this whole movement. So I think it's important to understand. Okay, let's actually make something. Let's get to the fun part. So we're going to build a couple different projects, but the first one we're going to build is something that I think should be transferable to you in your work and in your life, no matter who you are, which is using Claude Code to analyze data and analyze a mix of qualitative and quantitative data, so numbers and text, and then to put it into a little web page that you can then share. And I think this is something that everyone needs to do. We had a doctor. I cannot remember your name, but the doctor that chatted earlier. Like, this is something that you may need to do for your patients. If you're in marketing, if you're doing growth, like collecting customer feedback and then analyzing it. If you're doing business strategy, if you're basically, no matter who you are, there are times where you need to gather lots of data and then analyze it, and Claude Code is really good for that, especially for like really large data sets where it might be over the context window limit of like a ChatGPT or a regular Claude. And so we're going to do this together. It's going to be the first thing we build, and we're going to do it in less than 10 minutes. The setup for this is we're actually going to use, you can actually use whatever data set you want, but I recommend just using the one that we're giving you, which is NPS data from Every. So we actually just ran an NPS survey. We asked people, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend from 0 to 10? And then we also asked them to describe what Every is in a sentence, because it's always like an interesting one. Do you know what we are, and like what are we to you? And so we took that data, anonymized it, so it's sort of scrubbed of identifying information, but it's real data. And what we're going to do is you'll be able to download that data and then build a little website that breaks it down for us. So what we're going to do, download the data, open Claude Code, and ask it to analyze the data and turn it into a web page. I'm going to do a demo. We're going to go slowly so everyone can see exactly how it works. And then you're going to have the opportunity to do it yourself and see if you can find new things in the data or new ways to present it that are interesting. And to be clear, you can use your own data if you want. So if you have a data set you want to use, great. But we're going to do it with this, and you can find the data to download in the Notion. But I'll ask you, before you start doing this yourself, watch me do it so that we can kind of get on the same page, and then we'll move into doing it ourselves. And you'll have plenty of time to do it. So don't worry if it feels like pressure. We're going to help you do it. So let me just stop my share here and get myself set up. So give me 2 seconds. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. We're in this part of the Notion, part 1. I'm going to download this. And now it's downloaded in my downloads folder. Oops. Sorry. And you can see it, you'll be able to see it here. So all I've done so far is downloaded this file from Notion. That's the first step. Super easy. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go open up my terminal, and if it's already open, that's fine. I'm going to open up my terminal. It'll look like this. I'm going to type Claude. I'm going to live dangerously and do dangerously skip permissions. You do not have to do this. This is going to start Claude, and I'm going to know that Claude is started because I see this little alien. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Notion, and you'll see this command. And this is just natural language, right? I'm just saying, I just did an NPS survey of the every audience, find the CSV results in my downloads folder. So there's a CSV of the stuff we downloaded from here is in my downloads folder. Go find it, copy it into the project folder, then calculate our NPS and put it into a beautiful web page with some benchmarks and open it in my browser. If there's other stuff you want it to do, you can ask. It's just very, very simply ask for what you want, it'll give it to you. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to press enter, and it's going to start working, which is pretty cool. So it's thinking. At some point, it will probably come up with a to-do list. It'll have a little to-do list of the things it's going to do, and then it'll end up opening your browser. So we're going to do this a little bit like a cooking show. I did this earlier, so we're taking it out of the oven from earlier, so you don't have to wait. What it looks like is like this. So this is after, it'll probably run for 10, 15 minutes or so. It makes a little web page. It has our NPS score. It tells us our promoters, our passes, our detractors. It gives us a little graph, and then it compares it to benchmarks and gives us some insights. And this is just a web page now that I can go share with colleagues that I can make more detailed and more interesting, which I don't know. I think this is really, really cool and very, very helpful. Specifically for me, like I literally use this to understand all of our NPS stuff. And especially when you're dealing with big data sets, it's much better to do it with Claude Code, because you can you don't run out of context window limits. You can iterate on it and add more stuff, more analysis over time. It's all on your computer. It's really cool. So this is it. This is the first exercise. We're going to do this in a particular way. Let me just share my screen again.
May I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So the browser just opens and there's a web page, but it looks like it's a local site. So you said that you could share it with your colleagues. I'm just dumb question, but like how would one do that if it's a local on your machine? You would have to still like upload that somewhere, right? To
You'd
share.
have to upload it somewhere, so like
Got it.
Dropbox or some other.
Amazing. So we got the luxury of like you just kind of fast forwarding because you already did it, but like it would actually pop the browser and show what you saw in like a 10-minute frame.
It will. Yes.
That's insane. Okay, thanks.
It's very cool. Yeah, of course.
I'm like, wait, did I understand that correctly? Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Of course. Okay, so this is the exercise we're gonna do. You're gonna have a big chunk of time to do this. You'll be able to do the basic NPS analysis that I just showed you, and you'll be able to go through the Notion to see how to do that. There's 2 more steps in the Notion that you can follow if you have extra time. One is a suggestion for doing a little bit more of an advanced analysis. So like, how can you do more stuff with this? What else can you have Claude do? And then the third one is, can you find any insights in this data that I don't know about? So this is real data. I would love to know if you find out stuff about our NPS or how people describe us that I should know using Claude Code. You can also always go analyze your own data sets. So feel free to do that. you're gonna have a big chunk of time to do this, and then we'll come back and you'll be able to share. Maybe I'll say the top person that tells me something about every that I didn't know from this data set. We'll send you an every hat. But also feel free to share anything else that you've learned either about your own data sets or anything else you want to share. So we're gonna have time for all that, and Will, you will tell us what the timing is.
Yeah, we want to focus. Let's take about 30 minutes and work on this. And so, if two other things, if you're not set up yet, we're going to reopen those breakout rooms, and you can jump into those breakout rooms and get support from the TAs. If you're ahead, I'm going to post a link in the chat right now, which has other types of Claude Code project ideas. You can actually open another instance of Terminal and kind of work on other things if you're sort of ahead of the game here. But right now, we're going to focus on. We're going to take 30 minutes, focus on building the NPS tracker that Dan just talked about, instructions on the Notion. Again, jump into the TA support if you need that. And there's extra project ideas in the chat that I just shared. So
cool.
Well, one other thing is the showcase room.
Oh, showcase.
Yes. Then I'm going to jump in a room in a little bit where if you want to show what you've built and chat about that, you can do that as well, either from the NPS app or if you build another app and want to show that off. I'll be holding down in a breakout room in a little bit. You can join that as well.
Amazing. And I will say, before I send you off, you may run into errors. In fact, I would expect it, and you're not doing anything wrong if you do. The thing to know is, first of all, don't panic. And if you have enough curiosity and persistence, I absolutely guarantee you that you will fix them. And the best way to fix the errors is to take issues, whether if you see an error like this, or if it's just not working, and just copy paste it from the browser or wherever you see it back into Claude Code and just say, please fix this. It's literally just giving Claude the feedback of like, this thing is wrong, can you fix it? I guarantee you, if you do that, it will almost always fix it. And if it doesn't fix it the first time, just elaborating on it, it will fix it eventually. We also have this MCP that we had you install. It's not Puppeteer, it's called Playwright. We actually just changed the MCP to sliding to update, but we have this Playwright MCP, which allows Claude to go see what it's built. So another thing you can do is say, please use Playwright to reproduce the error and keep going until you fix it. And it will just open up the error in your browser and try to fix it. So these are all things that you can do. These are this should be in the Notion too, so you should be able to see this as a tip in the Notion. And if you have issues, we're here to help. Obviously, always ask Claude or ChatGPT first before you ask us. And we will be back. I don't think we're back at 12:30. We're back at.
Let's do 15, Dan. I think having you chat with the group for 15 minutes would be really good. I think from now till 15 would work great.
Okay, so we're going to be back at 12:15. So go forth, enjoy.
Oh, so I just did this, if you don't mind if I pop right in here since we're sitting here.
Sure.
I just gotta say that's remarkable. Like, that is like wizardly magic stuff. I mean, like, so it did create the little graphic, it created the website just like your thing, and I kept watching it go through the scrolling thinking it was doing something wrong, and it absolutely did it right.
I love to hear that. Remarkable is the exact right word for this.
Yeah. All right, now I have to come up with something to dig deeper into your data.
Sweet.
Also, one habit, I try to move the CSV by manually to the folder, and then I figure out no, it can do it for me. So
That's one of the reasons why having it on your computer is so powerful, because it can do anything that you can do. Steve.
Yeah, it's awesome. Mine's done too. It was much faster than I expected. So it's done. And then it kept me in terminal and said I could open up my web page. So I just moved to my default browser and it was built already. So very, very impressive.
That's awesome. Steve, were you in one of my previous chatbot courses?
Dan, you know what? I've taken 2 of your previous classes. The beginning one on Python, and then where interestingly we started using Replit. And so I've had this Replit account ever since. And then then the psychology one too.
Right.
So, yeah,
Awesome. We're in it. Aren't we in such a different world from that first chatbot course?
it's so amazing. It's so I would love to chat with you sometime.
Yeah.
I'll reach out. Yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah.
Cool. Kristen.
Mine is done as well. It is magical. I was just the reason I jumped into this registration for this course last night. I had seen it, I was contemplating it, but I was trying to crunch numbers for a survey, qualitative, quantitative data last night using GPT, ended up using Claude Code, and it completely blew the socks off GPT. But I was struggling with something that I think is really common, which is just how do I validate the data crunching that it's doing? This is still AI, so I need to validate how it got there with this amazing set of graphics.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for us on like how you do that?
Great question. One thing is just get your own baseline sense of the data. So like sanity check it. So like look at it with your eyes and just be like, does this seem like it makes sense? Another thing to do is ask it to show its work. So like tell you the steps that it went through in order to like calculate a particular number, and then validate it yourself by hand for one of the steps. And then I think that'll give you a sense for like, is it doing things right? Another thing that you can do is have it give you other views into the data. So for example, in an NPS score, in order to calculate the NPS, it has to find all of the promoters. So you can ask it, okay, I want you to like show me a view that shows all of the people that you counted as promoters. And then you can go check that and see like, does that list of promoters look basically right? So the basic thing to do is do a sanity check yourself, just to give the eye test, and then use Claude Code itself to help you show its work and expose the underlying things that it's doing to help you see if it's doing things correctly.
Awesome. That's helpful. Thank you.
Sure. All right, Tyler Simmons.
So just for fun, I had finished this, and I know Anthropic had released a like a front end design skill. So while I was waiting around, I installed the front end design skill and then had it remake the HTML dashboard, and it made this really cool, like very cyberpunk looking dashboard with all of the same information.
Please
which was
share.
kind of fun.
I want to see it. We'll have some time
Okay,
to
let me
share.
see. Yeah.
But please share raise your hand and please share when we come back.
I will. The other really interesting thing was looking at your next step, how you phrased like use the context window rather than writing a script. And there's such an obvious but clever way to frame it. And something I've struggled with in the past is like the tendency for it to want to write some sort of script to do a data analysis versus doing a more qualitative analysis. So I saw that and I was like, wow, yeah, I'm stealing that.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. Cool. Gustavo.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on kind of like related to what Kristen said about the data, right? Like when I was looking at my data and I look at your screenshot and other screenshots that people were sending it, the scores were very different, right? And then I noticed on mine, it didn't do any calculation. It didn't write a script for it as I thought it would. Right, so that's kind of like, I've been working with Claude Code for a while, so I already thought that this was going to be incorrect, right? Because it didn't write a script. I was expecting it to do that, write a script and run it, right? So it kind of goes through that, knowing what it does and the limitations and all that. And then I just said, hey, I think you did it wrong. Can you calculate it again? And then it did write some script. They like wrote like a very simple script and then corrected everything it did, but.
This is
Yeah, it goes
an
to show that
important point.
can't trust it.
I appreciate you pointing it out. Like Gustavo said, like Kristen said, sometimes, especially with numbers, it can make mistakes, and so it's very important when you get that wow moment to then be like, okay, I want to take a second and validate: is this actually correct? Did it calculate things in the right way? So there are things that you can do to A, sanity check it, and then B, ask it, how did you calculate this? So you can know if the calculation is correct. And if you ask it, as Gustavo said, if you say, hey, this doesn't look right, can you double check it? It will often correct itself. So very important to understand the underlying, how it calculated the scores. Kylie.
Hi. This is a beginner question, but I am just trying to check my understanding of what the difference is between using Claude Code versus Claude. And is it really just that, or would I be able to get the same results if I essentially just like uploaded the CSV to Claude and then rather than it like kind of creating the web page and opening it, just had it create the web page and then I like download that or open it in a browser? Is it just like the agentic pieces, but I could technically do the same type of analysis with Claude?
You could technically do the same type of analysis with Claude. The difference is, or there are a few differences. One is because it's on your computer, it has access to many more tools and many more things that it can do. So we're like starting in a particular place that you could technically do with Claude, but as we get further and further down the path, it's going to be harder and harder to do this stuff with Claude. Claude is also pretty limited in terms of context window size. So if you're working with large data sets, this is actually something that you probably can't do with Claude. And the things that artifacts let you do, so Claude artifacts is the like web page renderer. There are certain things that it's like good at and certain things that it's not good at that Claude Code is. It's a more flexible tool. So I would say there's overlaps and Claude Code is just a bit more powerful.
Oh, thank you. It's very cool. I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah,
thank
makes
you.
sense. Also, I would say one important thing is ChatGPT is Claude in the app it's designed to be more conversational. Like it's designed to go back and forth with it, and Claude Code is designed to be just more of like a power tool that just goes off and does work and comes back. Cool. Nosley, I think. Let me know if that's how you pronounce your name.
Yeah, I go by Noz. Hey.
Cool.
I was just wondering if you could tell us a bit more about how you guys do design at Every. Because yeah, like I haven't been able to, use any of the vibe coding tools and not get like AI slop so far.
Good question. Yeah, I mean, basically, if you're just asking it to like do something without giving it like specific designs, it's gonna do stuff that looks like what everyone else does. The way that we do design at Every is we do use a lot of AI. So like all these images on these slides, for example, they're all generated with Midjourney. But we have a crew of like super talented designers who are both like on the creative direction side and on the UI design side that make beautiful Figma files that then we use AI to like turn into the actual UIs that we use in our apps. So I think yeah, we put a lot of emphasis on it, and we use AI to assist us in the design process, but we actually have designers that are using AI to like make awesome designs rather than just like telling Claude to come up with its own stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering that because like every other week on LinkedIn you see someone posting, oh, like Figma's dead, and like I still do a lot of work in Figma as well, so I was curious. Do you guys use Figma Make?
I don't know. I think so, but I honestly don't know. Let me see. Are Yash or Nitesh in here? They would probably know. No, they're not. They're in the breakouts. I'll ask and I'll let you know. We do definitely use Figma.
Thanks.
Sam.
This is super cool. Thank you for joining. I wanted to share my attempt at step 3, where I had Claude do a psychographic analysis.
Oh,
And,
amazing. We will have time in about 20 minutes for that.
cool. You need to
But
jump in.
I would love for you to share.
Cool. I will wait.
Awesome. Thank you. Vanessa.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning, reminding us that we can tag team with like Claude and obviously ChatGPT. I guess my question is like, when do you use that versus do you ever use like the plan mode in Claude Code? Like I've kind of played around with it because I mean, truth be told, I tend to do better with conversant AI, just kind of like I like that texture of thinking and like going through like the whole process. And I know it's probably not the most efficient use of Claude Code. Is plan like mode a good use of that, or should I just continue to tag team with Claude?
We will use plan mode. We'll cover that after lunch. So I think plan mode is great. And it is also great to go back and forth. Like you can go back and forth with Claude in the Claude app or with ChatGPT to like kind of help you flesh things out and then paste it into Claude Code if you want. So plan mode is great. And there will be a lot more about how to use it and when to use it after lunch. Sweet. Ale, and let me know if that's how you pronounce your name.
It's Ale, but that's okay.
Great.
Yeah. I wanted, this might be a bit off topic, but I wanted to ask about your process to generate illustrations that are, I see that they are always on brand and they always follow the same style.
Thank you. Lucas, who's our creative lead, is a genius, and he has built a bunch of prompts in Midjourney that help us do designs with a very consistent style.
Pretty cool, thank you.
Shawshank, and let me know if that's how you pronounce your name.
Yeah, it's Shashank.
Shashank.
Ever since I started using Claude Code at work, and just trying to start with building my own tools, I just started to realize I'm hitting limits, and I'm realizing that the less I know, the more it's keeping me back. And I feel theoretical knowledge is sort of starting to get its value up. And the more information and knowledge you consume, I think it allows you to do a lot more with these AI tools and give it better directions and instructions. So I wanted to know your take on this. Like, do you feel like there is some value in like increasing the amount of knowledge you consume about a specific topic or a tool or any particular thing? I think coming back to your learning the piano example, sort of felt almost related.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, I think that the piano thing that I was talking about is it seems like you're running into some limits of your theoretical knowledge, um, and I think that's always a good time to if you're running into practical problems, to be like, hey, maybe I need a better fundamental understanding of XYZ topic that I'm running into problems with. And so it sounds like you're running into that. And if you are, I think it's a great motivator to go like start consuming more information. But I think it's very, very context specific. I like read all the time. Like I'm just like a big consumer of that stuff, just because I love it. But and I would never never recommend against learning more. But it's very
Yeah.
like situation specific.
Got it.
Great. Mikhail.
Yeah, hi. If I may question about the second step, which is like a bit maybe a bit general, but like all of the stuff that it is now saying, how do you assess the risk of it hallucinating and like inventing something? Because these are all very like qualitative and opinionated thoughts on the like deeper research, the qualitative one.
So I think
So yeah.
that's a good question.
Okay.
We've actually run into this a bit now. I think this is actually great. Like I really want to talk about this with the whole group, because I think people are getting this getting some of the scores hallucinated, and I love that this is happening here because I actually didn't put a like hallucination section into the curriculum, but it's like this is telling me that like I should, because it's really important that people know when to trust it and when to double check. And
Yeah, and the probably the same like mechanics or micro prompts or part of the prompt as you used with like use context window instead of writing Python script. Something like this would be really useful to include. Some like do a thorough check or something. I don't know.
I will deal with that as soon as people come back. We'll talk about it a bit.
Perfect. Thank you.
Who? Natalia.
Thanks, Dan. Similar to what Michael just asked, but more specifically, what I've noticed with Claude and Manus and all of them, they get lazy and like that suggest the path of least resistance to any problem until you really ask them to like do a proper job. So with Claude Code as well, do you find that there's specific prompts that work if you need that quality dialed up, or because obviously some projects are good for MVPs and some projects you really need to get it right. So just any kind of ideas on prompting it to emphasize quality or to do deep thinking, stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm always a fan of ultra think, or think deeply, or like pay attention, be really careful. Like thinking about it like a colleague and what would motivate a colleague, especially a colleague who you could say anything to, is helpful. Telling it it's really important. So yeah, there's a couple basic things like that.
And do you include it into all of your prompts, or do you kind of?
Not always, but for anything important, I will.
Okay.
Hey, Dan,
Andreas.
sorry, Dan, I've just got a question here from Tara. Is the only way to make changes or tweaks to regenerate the entire project?
No, you should be able to just make changes or tweaks by like typing in the next thing that you want it to build, and it'll just like add on top of the project.
One question, I am trying another data set, and it's asking me every time to how could do you want to proceed? Do you want to proceed?
Yeah.
And the most of the time I say just yes. Is there a way to give more autonomy and to say how could it until you block? Don't tell me.
So that's why we do dangerously skip permissions, because that puts it into a mode where it doesn't ask you for permission every time. But what you can do is if you do Shift Tab, you'll see it change from a mode that's accept edits on, and if you keep hitting Shift Tab until you see bypass permissions on, then it'll stop asking.
So it's Shift Tab. I need to do Shift Tab. Okay. Thanks.
Cool. Andreas.
Obviously one of like the key benefits of the tens of billions of dollars that are getting spent on this stuff is that there's constantly new and better models. And we, my job try to be pretty good about using the latest and greatest for the best use case, but there's obviously switching costs associated with that. Just wondering like how you guys think about balancing that with all the work you guys do, on new models and integrating them, and like kind of like what would it take you to start using Codex more than Claude Code?
Oh, interesting. You're talking about in the developer environment or in the apps that we build?
Just generally, like how do you kind of balance new capabilities from like a different provider with like the switching costs of already having something integrated into your stack, whether that's developer or something a specific app you're working on?
I think generally, well, our job is to test new things, so I think we lean more towards just like trying a bunch of stuff. And with a lot of the terminal things, because they all run in the terminal, there aren't really that many switching costs, because like all of the settings and stuff is just like plain text files. I think I'm getting to a point where something has to be way better to like really cause us to switch. So it's getting a little bit more difficult, but right now I'm really flipping between Claude Code, Droid, and Codex, and I use them for different things. And I think like, for example, some of the hallucination stuff that we're seeing, I do not think that we would see that with GPT-5 in Codex or Droid. Claude is just a little bit more likely to do stuff like this, and so if I'm doing something that's like going to be production code, for example, I'll probably use Droid or Codex, because like I just don't want to submit a pull request to any of our GMs and just have it be super embarrassing. but Claude is just a little bit friendlier and easier to work with, I think. So and then I think on the application layer, there's always this trade-off of performance versus cost. And generally, what I try to encourage us to do is use the latest and greatest if it truly unlocks something, because it's going to be 10 times cheaper in a year. So we can pay the upfront cost if there's like some new functionality that it unlocks that previous models wouldn't be able to do. And I think that's important, one, just because like it's important for us to be at the edge and have the highest quality stuff, which means using the highest quality models, but two, because if you're trying to use a worse model, you often end up building a lot of stuff to like make that worse model perform better that you would not need to build if you're just using a better model. It just like eliminates a lot of the scaffolding. And so you're kind of paying, you might be paying less in terms of API calls, but you're paying more, you're still paying a lot in terms of developer time and headache to like build this whole inference layer, like harness. And that cost is going to go down so much so soon that it's like probably not worth spending the time. It's my current thought on it, but different people are in different positions. So it's, yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, we definitely think a lot about the deflationary cost of these things. So on the same page.
Josh.
Hey Dan, nice to meet you. My question's related to a couple other questions on the terminal versus the actual chat apps themselves. And specifically, the efficacy of MCP is super clear. You just demonstrated it with the NPS survey, and that's awesome. But one of the ironic downsides of the MCP terminal interface is that basic things like checking your chat history or picking up where you left off is cumbersome, to say the least. So I know there's a few ways to get your history and continue where you left off, but in your opinion, what's the best way to do that with Terminal and Claude Code specifically?
So if you start Claude with the continue command in a particular project, so Claude -- continue, it will just pick up where you left off. That's the best way to do it.
And do you find that works well if you're running multiple terminal windows at the same time?
It should, as long as you started Claude in the project directories for each parallel project you're working on.
Got it. Okay, that's super helpful. Thanks.
Of course. Nozzle.
I was just wondering, so you said you guys never really write manual code anymore. But like when I was using the vibe coding tools, for example, sometimes I realized I would catch myself trying to like verbally describe something that is like very clear in my mind visually, like, like change the border radius or something that would be easy enough to like search and replace in like the CSS code or whatever. Like, do you guys like never kind of like, do stuff on like the code editor basically anymore? Or
I mean, it's not like we don't like send people to jail if they do it. But I would say like 99% of the time people aren't doing it. But there are probably like certain corner cases where they're like, yeah, it would just be easier for me to like find and replace in cursor for this. But to be honest, I think finding and replacing in cursor, I would be surprised if that was faster most of the time. So yes, more or less, we are not using code editors.
So you go from Figma, you use like Figma's MCP, or how do you go from Figma to code?
Yeah, there's an MCP. There's a Figma MCP where they're sort of it's looking at the design and then trying to build it, and then going back and forth. But there is some cajoling, and I think probably for CSS there's maybe some times where there's a little bit of hand tuning it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure. Amy.
Hey Dan.
Um, all's going pretty smooth so far, and it's great to be part of this. Thanks so much.
Thanks for being here.
Just now that we've done exercise 1 and proceeding to exercise 2, which unlocked a whole other series of insights, is there an ideal way to formulate questions or prompts for Claude Code versus just, being in ChatGPT or Claude? Like I noticed when in the notions, what do our promoters think we are? Anything else you think is interesting? Those feel pretty casual, but they're not, it's not like talking to a friend as you might in ChatGPT. Is there an ideal language for Claude Code?
I would say the way to understand if a prompt is good is imagine that you were given the prompt by your boss or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be able to do the task?
Mm.
And that's all the information you had. And would you be able to do it well?
Right.
And if the answer is yes, then it's probably a good prompt. If the answer is no, then there's probably more detail that you probably need to add in order to tell it to do a good job. I will say though that one of the things that we're doing, you'll notice so far, we have not done particularly detailed prompts. It's just like,
Right.
go do this.
Yeah.
We're gonna move into a mode where we're doing a bit more detail and we're like thinking more about like exactly what we're telling the AI to do. And I think both are helpful. What we're doing right now is we're just doing the quickest thing we can to explore and see like, okay, what can we make and what does it look, what does the data look like, all that kind of stuff. And then once we've done that, we're going to move into a mode where we're being a little bit more careful and we're making a more detailed plan for exactly what should be done and how to do it.
That works. I think that you look at terminal and you think you have to speak to it a certain way.
Speak to it like a person.
Great. Thanks.
Dan, just jumping in here quickly. We're going to close the rooms in a minute or two, so we'll have everyone join us back here soon.
Perfect. Okay. I'm gonna take a minute, and then we'll come. I'm gonna take a minute, and we'll come back in a minute to share what we learned. All right, it's 12:15. Welcome back, everybody. I want to take a quick temperature check. Can you hit the alien reaction if you built something that you think is cool?
Dan, just FYI, we've got about 50 seconds here for the other folks to join us. There's a handful coming back.
Well, we'll let them react, and I'll wait. We got a lot of aliens. This is pretty cool. I love seeing this stuff. It's the best. I'm very, very excited to see to have you share what you built as soon as the breakout room's closed. I'm actually curious. Maybe another one is hit. Let's find a good emoji reaction for this. Hit this ta-da reaction if you ran into a problem that you were able to solve yourself. Either yourself or with AI. Let's say that. That's cool. That's pretty cool. All right, looks like we're making a lot of progress here. I love the energy in the room. I love seeing you guys all make cool stuff. So let's share. Who wants to share something that they built during this session, just raise your hand. John, is your hand was up earlier, so I want to see if did you want a demo? Oh, okay, it's down. Okay, Bronson, please share.
Thank you. So I took the original prompts that you gave and I just kind of went the next step. I'm like, all right, this is great, but I want to see some visuals. So I just told it, said, just create me 5 interesting visuals using this data. So this is what it came up with. Some of it's pretty surface level, just the distribution of the promoters, passive and detractors. Kind of interesting little radar chart here. Some language patterns and sentiment patterns. What I thought was pretty interesting is down here in the NPS distribution. So you see this 8 is spiking here, which is just outside that promoter range. So the promoters are the 9s and 10s. So you've got 32 that are just hanging out here, just on that edge of a promoter. So I took it even one more step, thinking of you, Dan, as a leader. It's like, all right, I want to see an executive summary of this, of just give me some highlights of where we're winning. You see Monologues getting some shout out here in the mentions, but where are you losing or where can you do better? So you've got multiple 7s and 8s here, and they all seem to indicate that it's due to the MAC limitation. So you've got some people that are there that are really hungry for it, but the MAC only aspect of it is keeping them. And then going down here to just some quick decisions to make. Do you stay Mac only or do you pivot there? Convert the 32 people that are in 8s, and even just to highlight here, even if you just convert half of those people, you go from a 45 to a 51 in your NPS score. So just some insights on the data that thinking of it from an executive level, just give me the kind of the high level points of what should we be doing, kind of the so what of the data, if you will.
Super cool. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. And this is very useful. Like I actually had not noticed that we were spiking on 8s, and we've got to figure out who they are and how to get them to 9s. Sam.
Yeah, this was really fun. I took some time to try to spice up the visuals as well. I'm a big fan of Edward Tufte and his visual analysis, so I tried to combine some prompts and hey, make some style graphics and make some graphics in the style of Edward Tufte, and then also act as an expert in data visualization. Some of the stuff was already shared, but I thought the response length was pretty interesting, how detractors on average write more. I think that is something that in my business we've seen too, that unhappy people are often more likely to tell you why they're unhappy. So that was pretty interesting. Some of the kind of linguistic analysis and this idea of the word edge being kind of very common, people really feeling like they get an edge. I thought another interesting thing was kind of the impact of people who are Mac limitations, because I feel like we saw that a little bit at the beginning of the call of people who don't have Macs maybe feeling like they're not getting the same level of value. So I thought this was kind of fun, and then just cool to see how much the design could change based on a simple prompt, even without sharing Claude skills.
This is awesome. I love this. It's so it feels so Tufty actually. Yeah, really, really cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Wait, scroll up again. Oh.
Yeah. Happy I can share this too in the chat. And I'll share literally the prompt was like just you use the style of Edward Tufte, so it wasn't any special Tufte prompt.
Yeah, I think we're definitely. I love the edge. The edge thing is very cool. It's really interesting. Yeah, please share your prompt, and we definitely need to start making Windows stuff. So that's probably going to happen. Yeah. Jessica.
Hey, all right, 1 second. So I basically everyfied the data. All right. So basically I pulled a header image off of one of your recent articles. I was kind of workshopping the prompt with Claude while I was testing it in Claude Code. I pulled the fonts myself. It couldn't see every's fonts. And then I just kind of played around with things like spacing, colors, cropped the header image. It like some of the prompts like deleted this section, which was in the original output. So I asked it to put it, I just screenshotted it and asked it to put it back in. So then I also asked for chord feedback themes and potentially hidden insights that might not have been seen on a first or second run through the data. So things like content and product segments are scoring identically. So like every is just as great at content as it is as product. Monologue and Cora highlighted as like everybody loves Monologue and Cora, which I'm sure nobody here is very surprised about. Especially because those were maybe more like I love Spiral. I mean, I've been like playing around with Spiral a lot, but maybe not everybody needs Spiral or uses Spiral to the same extent that everybody is, you know, drowning in emails and playing around with dictation. So most of mine was playing around with brand and seeing how close in the time that we had to get to Every's branding.
This is so cool. I love this. It looks amazing. We definitely, I'm going to take a screenshot. And can you scroll up? I'm going to take a screenshot and send it to Lucas, who runs our design. He'll be very pleased.
He's amazing. I love him.
So cool. Okay, so I want to take a sec actually before we're about to break for lunch, and I want to take a sec to talk about something that came up while everyone was building, and I want to make sure everyone is here to think about it and talk about it together. So, some people noticed that the NPS score changed depending on who was running the prompt. So a lot of us got 45.1s. I saw some like 50s. I saw some a little bit lower. I think it was mostly right, but it changed a bit. And obviously the data is the same. And I also saw some discrepancies where there were like very few detractors in some of the data distributions, and there are more detractors in others. I think that's very, very important for us to talk about, because like I actually didn't even I didn't put a section in here about this, and I think right now is the exact right time to do this, and I'm glad you guys brought it up. Sometimes Claude will make things up, particularly for like more quantitative stuff. It is more likely to get something wrong, and you should just know that, and you should know if you see that, whoa, this is awesome. It's very important to know to double check, so that when you present this to your boss, or you know, make decisions for your company about this, you're basing it on something that you really know is right. So the first thing to do is, if you see something from Claude, if you make something with Claude Code, sanity check it. So make sure that you yourself are familiar enough with the data to know, generally, does this look right or not? If you see something that does not look right, what you should do is use Claude Code to find ways to make the data more observable to you, so that you can check it yourself. So, for example, you can have it tabulate and display all the promoter data in a view, so that you can go look at it and make sure that it matches your expectations. You can also, for example, sometimes when Claude makes things up, it's because it's not actually doing the calculations, it's just sort of estimating. So you can ask it for any calculation to please write a script, like actually write code to calculate the number and calculate the NPS score, for example, rather than just like estimating it. Stuff like that is going to make it much more likely that what it says is accurate. I have also found that Claude is the most friendly, the most industrious, but it's also the most likely to actually make stuff up, especially with math and stuff. I've found that GPT-5 is much more careful about stuff like this, and so when I'm working with data and it's really, really important that I don't get embarrassed, I use GPT-5 in Codex or Droid to do this. So keep that in mind too, that those are a little bit more precise. Natalia says, do you use one LLM against the other LLM to do quality checks? Definitely. It's always worth being like, hey, like, can you check this and see if this is right? They love catching their own mistakes and other LLMs mistakes. Having a diversity of LLMs taking a look at data or generating it multiple times and just seeing like, does it like what we just did? It just surfaces errors really quickly because you're like, okay, this doesn't match. So what's going on here? Um, Mark asks, are you going to show these tools in this course? No, but like the basic gist of Droid and Codex, it's the exact same as Claude Code. It's just from a different company. Okay, we've got 3 minutes left. What are we going to do? We have yeah, go for it.
Well, there, we had some time there, Dan, just for if you wanted to talk about, the is vibe coding real, or I don't know if you had a riff on that you want to chat about, or we could also do a couple more showcases.
Yeah, I should say something about that because I think it dovetails pretty nicely with this this sort of hallucination problem. It's like, is what we're doing here actually real? Does it count? Is it a real skill? Or is it just sort of like fake stuff and you can do this cool demo, but like then it's not useful going forward? And my answer is it is definitely real. It is definitely something that you can use for yourself today to be more productive and build interesting things that help you do better work. And hopefully you've seen that. I should also say there's definitely a difference between building something like this for yourself that maybe you can share with colleagues and building a real production application. There's definitely a difference. It takes like real technical skill to build real production applications. And also, I think this is a incredible on-ramp to doing that and to building that skill yourself. And between where you are now and that goal, if that's what you want, you can get a tremendous amount done and a tremendous amount out of it. So I'd say it's totally real, and engineering as a profession is like definitely going to stick around and is definitely very, very important. And hopefully what you've done so far gives you a sense for how powerful this is, even if you don't know how to code already. Let's take time for a couple more questions or showcases if people have other things they want to share. Lucia. Oh, you're
Sorry,
on mute.
yeah, I'm on mute. So I found that when you're presenting like insights, it's best to do it in a video format or animated format. So I took what I've built and I prompted so that it became like an animated presentation. And I was blown away by the results actually. And so it's just natural language where I say, hey, keep this style and then make this into an auto loop animated video for my presentation that has impact. And what I've learned is prompt it so that share your goals and objective as if you were briefing a very high agentic team player. And I found Claude would just understand your intention really well.
This is amazing. This is honestly so impressive. I had no idea that you could even do this. Everyone, let's give a hand to Lucia for this incredible demo. I love it. Thanks for sharing.
Would you share that prompt in the chat?
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, everybody, it is 12:30. So we're going to take an hour for lunch. Feel free to keep experimenting if you want. When we come back, we're going to do a little bit more discussion on like, okay, what is our full workflow? What does the full vibe coding loop look like? And then we're going to actually build a full app together. And we're going to do that together, and then we're going to have time to work on our own stuff. So explore, play around, or just take a break, have lunch, and we will see you back here in an hour.
Thanks, guys. And if you have setup issues, hang here. We can help you. Otherwise, see you in an hour. Thanks all.
Dan, I do actually have a question for you.
Yes. What's up?
So, I know a lot of people use Claude for product building, but what really interests me and inspires me is you're building a very lean organization where you have like this kind of portfolio business structure. We have your media team and your product team, and maybe you have like other function that we don't know. Curious how you use Claude or any AI tools to help you build a system for like business needs rather than just shipping product. Can you give me an example?
So like one example that some people on our team use, and Nukshi, who helped set up a lot of this course, use, for example, that I think is really interesting is Anukshi does a lot of product marketing, and part of product marketing is being able to say like, okay, here's all the things that we did, here's all the things that we shipped, and turning that into something that you can tell your users. And so one thing that Anushi does sometimes is she just asks Claude Code to go into the GitHub and like look at all the commits of stuff that we've added to the product over the last week, and that gives her a nice list that she can work from to turn it into product marketing. There are other things that we do like that that are around like gathering, for example, gathering customer support. Like we have tons of customer support stuff now, and that's totally new, and we're trying to figure out how to make our support good. So like we've literally just took all of our support emails and just threw them into Cloud Code, and we're like, okay, what are the categories of problems that we get? And then that filters into how do we respond to them? What features do we build? All that kind of stuff. So those are a couple of like basic examples where it really scales what we're able to do.
The follow-up question on that is, do you tend to hire people who already come on board with like the mindset of, hey, I am able to do so much more with AI, or do you actually train your team to build this culture of, hey, here are the tools, and you might be able to adapt that to whatever function that you're in?
I mean, we definitely only hire people who are into AI and like want to either have the skills already or want to learn. I'm like, it's new technology, so like I'm not expecting people to be necessarily experts at it, but having a sort of curious experimental mindset is super important. All right, so I'm myself gonna go take a little break for lunch.
May I
And
please ask one quick question? I keep
yeah,
raising my hand and it keeps getting to me and then stopping and then I lower it. I'm just very curious about the project files. So like if I'm in a terminal and I've got like 4 different things happening, how do I switch between those projects? Where do I access those projects? Maybe I missed it, but seems like a basic
yes.
question.
So basically, the way that we set your Claude up is there's a Claude projects folder, and then inside of that folder, there's a bunch of every time you make a new project, it will create a new folder for that project and put all the code in there.
Perfect.
And so what you'll be able to do is you can open up a new tab in your terminal and just for each tab have that work on a particular project.
Got it. And then to access those folders, projects, that's just a search, like I just search for Claude? I mean, like, how do I get to those? Like, if I shut my computer down and I'm opening it up, brand new terminal session
Yeah.
the next morning, and I want to go to not the very last project, but maybe 3 projects back, or I just want to see a list of all the projects in
Yeah.
play,
Just
where would
type
I?
Claude, just type
Okay,
Claude, and then just say like, what are the projects that we've done so far?
got it. So just plain language. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Of course. Okay,
Sorry
guys,
about that.
we're taking a break, so I'm gonna end the meeting here, and we will rejoin at 1:30.